Bust down my shooter, saw my wires, then a bomb diffuser. Take a jet to the jungle, was healing my soul.
UFC Mexico takes place this weekend, and we will be giving you our full card predictions from the bottom to the top, starting with the early prelims, which is a lightweight fight between Markel Medeiros and Austin Hubbard. Markel Medeiros 1-0 in the UFC. There's not much to go on him really besides his decision win over Landon Quinones. I went back and watched that fight yesterday. It was a unanimous decision, 29-28, and within the first 10 seconds of that fight, Landon lands a big check right hook on Markel and stumbles him, wobbles him pretty good, but Markel had really good recovery after that, and ended up dropping that first round, kind of rallied a little bit for that second and a little bit more in the third round, but overall I would have gave that fight to Landon Quinones 29-28. Obviously Landon Quinones actually retired after that fight, and he's only 29 or something, so kind of sad to see there. But Markel in his Dana White Contender Series, however, had a very impressive round 1 knockout win over Issa Isakov, and that guy was a crazy grappler, all over you, does not give you a second to breathe, and Markel looked really smooth on the feet, really crisp striking, stuffed the takedowns, and he's a very good switch stancer, and he landed a switch stance knee as Isakov was shooting in for a takedown and knocked him out cold, so no brainer on him getting a contract there. He did look, however, nervous during his UFC debut. It wasn't the same fighter. However, I still think that it's going to be a lot better Markel that we're going to see out there today. People always get better after their UFC debut. Yeah. Obviously, the nerves and stuff going into it. And Austin Hubbard is an opponent that we can look at against, in my opinion. 3-4 in the UFC in his first stint, and now 1-2 in his second. Obviously, he was in the Ultimate Fighter finale versus Kurt Holloway, where he was submitted in the second round with a nice triangle choke from Kurt. His win in his most recent stint is over Mikael Figlak, who I believe is Polish, and went 0-2 in the promotion. So again, it's just not a great win. However, his losses are a split decision, Alex Hernandez in his last fight. And a round 2 submission loss to Kurt Holloway 2 fights before then. So he's fighting decent guys. Obviously, we just saw Hernandez and Kurt fight each other, so Interesting fight there. However, I see Markel Medeiros looking good in this fight. Hubbard looks for decent takedowns. He sometimes gets them, but the guy's got pretty weak power. There's not going to be much of a power threat coming back at Markel. Especially compared to a young guy like Landon, who actually had pop in his shots and in his debut had a close split decision with Nasrat Haqparast. So that's an impressive loss there. But overall, I just think that Medeiros is going to use his reach here. And I just think he's going to pick him apart from the outside and win himself a 30-27 unanimous decision.
Medeiros?
Yeah.
30-27 in a fight that he needs to win, or he might be done in the organization again.
From Hubbard? Yeah. I just don't see it. I don't know. I just don't see anything aggressive from Hubbard. What's going to change that's going to be different from him? Is he just going to have...
I feel like he's going to want it. But honestly, that could be it. Style-wise and skill-wise, I don't know how great he is. But, Hubbard is going to be fighting. His contract depends on it. His career almost depends on it.
Yeah, for sure.
So I feel like that could be a good motivation. We did just see that with Colin Lawford in his last fight, where he kind of stepped up, and it's same thing. I was kind of looking at him before the fight thinking, this guy's had a couple mishaps here and there, and he's not all around that good. He was supposed to be better than he is right now, and then he comes out and puts on a good performance and kind of saves his career in the UFC. I honestly feel like Austin Hubbard's going to do the same thing. I honestly do. I feel like Markel's probably the better fighter. I don't know if he has more to lose being a prospect, but... I feel like Hubbard's just going to have... What you say?
I don't think he has more to lose. If Hubbard loses, he's done, to be honest. Sure. He'd be, what would his record be? 4-8 overall in the UFC. Not great. You're probably done at 33 years old.
I think he's going to go 5-7. I don't think he's going to go anywhere in the UFC after that, but I think he might drop off a quick contender and then get cooked in his next one. So I'm probably going to take Austin Hubbard by decision.
Fair enough.
His career depends on it, so...
And when you mentioned that Lawford fight, we had that fight to the bone, 29-28, split decision. On to our next fight, though, in the featherweight division. Jamal Pretty Boy Emmers takes on Gabriel Fly Miranda. Jamal Emmers, I'm a big fan of personally. He's 4-3 in the promotion. However, he's had a weird career. Obviously, in his last fight, he had Nate the Train hurt bad. I mean, it's not a Nate the Train fight if the guy isn't getting hurt bad.
If the guy isn't almost K'd on his feet.
that was a crazy one-round fight. Jamal hurt him bad, and then as he was going for the finish, Nate lands a fucking bomb on him, wobbles Emmers, and ends up sleeping him with an uppercut, I believe, all in the first round. The fight before that, however, for Jamal, he won a round 1 KO over Dennis Bazooka, which is honestly a pretty impressive win. I don't think we've seen Bazooka finished in the UFC before then. And he also has a split decision loss in his UFC debut to Giga Chikadze, where he landed more than 20 significant strikes more than Chikadze in a split decision fight. Like, I didn't go back and watch it, but on paper, Jamal Emmers won that. And also he has that split decision loss to Jack Jenkins. And that's a huge quotation to loss because, I mean, we both made money on Jack Jenkins in that fight, but
exactly.
that was a thank you. Yeah.
It was a blessing.
You did not lose that fight. He is 36, however, and he's coming off a KO loss. But again, Gabriel Miranda so far, first of all, he's a submission hunter. 16 of his 17 wins come by submission. The guy's 1-2 in the promotion, however. He lost his UFC debut to Benoit Saint-Denis. He was dropped 3 times in that fight and finished in the second round. He picked up a win in the first round by submission over Shane Young after that. Shane Young, we've also seen his career pan out. Terrible fighter. And then in his last fight, he got knocked out in the second round by Morgan Charrier. So the interesting,
which is a good loss.
Yeah, both of his losses are good. Benoit Saint-Denis and Morgan Charrier.
Benoit when he was good.
Yeah.
So.
It's a weird fight here because his losses are terrible, or his losses are good and his wins are terrible, Miranda's. However, I just think that he's going to struggle to get this to the mat, and I think that Jamal Emmers is going to look really sharp on the feet against someone like Miranda. We've seen that his striking is not very good at all. He leaves his chin up, and he's really just looking for the takedown. So overall, I'm going to take Jamal Emmers to put him out, actually, in the second round. We'll go with the trend. Jamal Emmers round 2 KO.
Second, that's valid.
Yeah.
I'm going to take Jamal Emmers to win this fight too. I think it's definitely his fight to win, honestly.
For sure.
And yeah, if Gabriel can't get it to the ground, then I don't really see him winning that fight. But he's definitely not going to knock out Jamal Emmers.
No.
And you can quote me on that. And I think if it goes the distance, Jamal will probably beat him there too. So I'm probably going to take Jamal's money line and say Jamal by KO probably.
Yeah.
KO, TKO.
Yeah.
I can see a ground and pound TKO, honestly.
Another thing is, like, we're saying Jamal Emmers is 36 coming off a knockout loss. Miranda's 35 coming off a knockout loss.
Yeah.
So really we're evening it out there, and Nate the Train, Morgan Charrier. That'd actually that's a fight to make probably. But yeah, Jamal Emmers by KO is the official pick. On to the next fight here, we go to Vince from Hell Pichel taking on Rafa Gifted Garcia. This fight's going to be a lot closer than what the odds have it at. I have it here, Rafa Garcia minus 485 favorite to a Vince Pichel plus 370. They're getting these odds from the fact that there's a 12-year age gap. Vince Pichel is 42, almost 43, compared to Gifted Garcia's 30. However, Rafa Garcia is 4-4 in the UFC compared to Vince Pichel's 7-4. Rafa Garcia is coming off a round 2 TKO loss to Grant Dawson. Pretty vicious ground and pound, where the guy Garcia did nothing. But I mean, Grant Dawson, we've seen he's a great, excellent fighter and would honestly do the same thing to old man Vince.
Yeah, exactly.
But again, his wins, Rafa Garcia, are not great. His best win is over Clay Guida, I believe, and it's not great. The guy lands 3.6 takedowns per 15, so we could see him soften up Vince Pichel on the ground here and finish him with a submission. He does have a couple subs. I believe he submitted Jesse Ronson. But Vince Pichel has a 25% striking takedown defense here. So that's obviously going to be Rafa Garcia's path to victory here, landing those takedowns, exposing the 25% takedown defense of old man Vince. Vince is on a 2-fight skid. losing to Marco Madsen by decision and a beatdown by Ismail Bonfim. But I mean, he's not getting finished by Bonfim in his 40s.
That's what I was just thinking.
That was 2 years ago, however. Vince Michel's best win was 5 years ago over Jim Miller, where he himself had 3 takedowns and 7 minutes of control. 7 minutes of control time. Sorry, it's impressive, of course, against Jim Miller, but that's 5 years ago. Vince, I only mention that because Vince looks to land takedowns himself. He lands almost 3 takedowns as well. However, we haven't seen him land more than 2 takedowns since that Jim Miller fight, which was 5 years ago. So I think that age is starting to get up to him with the ability to be getting these takedowns. And I just think Rafa Garcia here is the first Mexican on the card. I think the crowd's going to be behind him like fucking crazy.
It's set up for him to win. 100%.
It looks like a setup for him. However, there is a trap here with these odds, but I mean...
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Like, I don't even know if I'm going to bet on it at that point. Like, I don't think it's worth it at all.
No. I'm going to take...
485 to plus 370. Or right now it is, at least. That's not very worth it in my opinion.
Definitely not. It's on Vince Michel by decision at that point.
Yeah, exactly.
But I'm going to take Rafa Garcia as my official pick to win by decision. I think that the takedowns will be there all day. I think it'll be an honestly pretty boring fight. We might see a couple submission attempts from Rafa Garcia, but overall I think it's going to be a lot of ground control time, a lot of clinch time, and I think he's going to find himself a 29-28 decision win.
29-28? Oh, I was going to say we have exact same predictions then, because I was going to say I think it's going to be a boring fight and he's going to cruise to a 30-27.
I was going to say 30-27 too, but like I can see Vince maybe stinging him in a round, landing a couple good shots, maybe gets a takedown and wins that first round maybe or something, but
yeah.
Rafa Garcia by decision. Don't bet on that fight.
Don't bet on that fight.
On to the next fight here.
Don't bet on this fight either.
I am. First women's MMA fight of the card. We have Lupi Godinez taking on Julia Pilastri. In my notes here, I have Lupi Godinez will win this fight. Is the first thing I'm going to say. She's 7-5 in the UFC. You see that, you think a little bit shaky. She was on a 5-fight winning streak at one point, and she's on a 2-fight skid, losing to Verna Jandiroba in a very close decision and a split decision to Mackenzie Dern. That I thought that it was a robbery, but I thought that Lupi definitely should have got the nod for that. Julia Pilastri is 1-1 in the UFC, and she was 1-1 on the Dana White Contender Series, 13-4 overall, and her last win was over Corey McKenna by split decision. Corey McKenna is a terrible fighter.
I was about to say.
Yeah. Pilastri's loss in the UFC is to Josephine Knutson, where she just got dominated on the feet.
That's a pretty good loss, okay.
It's a pretty good loss, but I mean, we've seen Knutson now out of the UFC. She lost her last fight to Piera Rodriguez, where she was taken down 9 times. That was clearly the path to victory there. I mean, Pilastri had 2 or 3 takedowns in that fight, but did nothing with them. Lupi Godinez is a very solid striker, has slick takedowns, has good top control, and can land submissions. We've seen she has a couple, and she went for a few submissions on Verna Jandiroba and Dern, which is questionable. The worst thing I'll say about Lupi Godinez is that she has a terrible fight IQ. One of those fighters that can really put it together and have an excellent performance when she's on, but she's one of those girls that can also have an excellent performance and then toss it away by jumping on a fucking toe hold against Verna Jandiroba and going into a 50-50 heel hook and a toe hold. It's shit like that loses you a fight, and you just look silly. It's just doing too much.
It's really just doing too much.
It's doing too much.
It's letting your ego take over a little bit almost.
Yeah, and Lupi does that. However, I just think that she's going to outdog Julia Pilastri. She's got 12 UFC fights compared to Pilastri's 3. It's in her backyard. She's fought the way better competition. And yeah, I'm going to take Lupi Godinez to win by decision or a round 3 submission.
I'm taking Godinez by decision.
Yeah.
I'm done betting on women's fights ending. Although it is hot right now.
It's
although
very
it is
hot
right now.
Puja Tomar,
but if I bet on it,
fuck.
it's guaranteed to go the distance. And if I bet on a submission, if I bet on a submission, it's going to go the distance. If I bet on distance, it's getting subbed.
Yeah.
So
never really the KO usually, unless you're Carly Judice. On to the next fight here. Very good fight in the featherweight division between Christian the Prospect Killer Rodriguez taking on Melkothi Costa. Starting with Christian Rodriguez here, the prospect killer. Notable wins already. He's 5-2 in the UFC, and his wins are over Raul Rojas Jr., Cameron Simon, Isaac Dolgarian, and Austin Bashi. So he's already got a crazy, just young prospect killing resume. He's got a weird guillotine loss to Juicy Julian J. Arosa. That one just kind of makes you scratch your head a little bit. Rodriguez has slick striking. He's got good takedowns, decent subs, and we've seen him throw up those attempts. He's only 28, and he's only been getting better. Obviously, the Julian Arosa loss just kind of sets you back a little bit, but he has a 70% takedown defense, holds his own against the ground, and he, again, controlled Raul Rojas in that fight, dominated him. I think Raul had, fucking 4 significant strikes or something in that fight.
Raul?
Yeah. Dealt with Bashi's ground game easily. The Dolgarian fight was a toss-up, but I mean, Dolgarian's legit. We haven't seen him fight in a while. Good, so. I'm a big fan of Dolgarian.
Yeah.
Melky, on the other hand, is coming off that round 1 guillotine win over Andre Touchy-Feely. So if you do some MMA math here, coming off a round 1 guillotine win, Christian Rodriguez's most recent loss is by a round 1 guillotine sub. So, I mean, that definitely is on the table, a Melk sub. However, the way that Melk got that sub was Feely being a retard. The guy shot for a takedown with 15, 20 seconds left in the fight and asked to get guillotined. He put himself back into it. Originally, it was a good takedown, and then he just kind of kept putting his head deeper and deeper into his fucking arm. Really made you question what Feely's doing. Tapped with about 5 seconds left in the round 2. So I just don't know if C-Rod's going to put himself in that position. However, he will be looking for some takedowns, so it definitely could be. Melk's 3-2 in the UFC. His losses in his debut are by submission to Thiago Moises and a KO loss to Steve Garcia. So he's losing to good guys at what they do best. And his wins are over Cheyenne Bekov, Nerman something. Obviously his last one over Feely, and I'm kind of forgetting who his first one was. I think it was Austin Lingo. Overall, I still see C-Rod kind of mixing in the takedowns well, outlanding him on the feet, and finding his way to a close 29-28 decision.
You're canceled for calling him a retard. Give me C-Rod. C-Rod's gonna win this fight, in my opinion. Yeah. I think he shuts it down. Prospect killer C-Rod. I'll take him. I'll honestly take him by decision.
Same.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to put away Melk. If anything, it'd be by sub, and I don't see that really happening.
I think it's going to be a bang out of a fight, actually.
You think it'll be pretty good?
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that. Melk's usually in bangs, so... C-Rod by decision is the official pick. On to our next one here, we have the Francis Ngannou 2.0, Atiba, the silent assassin Gautier, making his debut against Jose Medina. Starting with Atiba here, he is 6-1 overall. His only loss is by split decision. His
build is crazy.
Oh, he looks like a brick shithouse, man. This guy's 6'4".
His build is crazy.
6'4" from Cameroon, and the best thing about him is the guy's 22 years old. He's born in 2002. He won his Dana White Contender Series fight as an underdog. I don't know what we're doing putting this guy as an underdog.
For real. He
won by round 2 KO. Dirty left hook, and the follow-up ground and pound looked exactly like Francis Ngannou. Genuinely. I think this guy's going to be a problem. He stuffed 10 of 11 takedowns from the guy that he was fighting on the Contender Series. He has a head kick knockout. He's been the distance once in his career and won that decision, so...
Do we know the odds?
Yeah, he's a minus 550 favorite compared to Medina's plus 410.
Damn it.
To talk a little bit about Jose Medina, though, however, this guy's 0-1 in the UFC, 0-1 in Dana White Contender Series. I have here he is a horrible fighter. He lost his Dana White Contender Series to Magomed Gajiasulov. It was by unanimous decision, and Gajiasulov had 6 takedowns and 6 minutes of control time, and tripled him in significant strikes. And we signed Medina to the UFC off of that performance.
That's what I was just going to say.
Yeah, we signed him.
Both got signed then.
Yeah, we signed him because he was smiling, he was tough, and having a good time.
I remember seeing that. Oh yeah, I remember that because he was laughing about everything.
Yeah,
and just like kept joking. It was actually pissing us off. Like into the how did the fight end?
Decision.
Yeah, okay. I was gonna say because into the third round, I remember it getting like he knew he was gonna lose almost, and he just kept going. He was just laughing at everything, making jokes, like looking at his corner, looking at the other guy's corner, like. Dude, it's just so weird. Like, he got signed via Kevin Holland signing almost. Like, just call up Loud or call up Big Mouth. Like,
yeah, and it's just not Big
his
Mouth
lights are
at
going to get
all.
absolutely shut out. He'll be in the GFL next week, so.
Yeah, and another thing, so he had 6 takedowns, 6 minutes of control time. And then when Medina debuted against Zachary Reese had 5 takedowns and 6 minutes of control time, and doubled on significant strikes. That fight also went to decision. So this guy has crazy heart. He's got a fucking chin on him. And I think this is a little bit of a science experiment to me. Because we've seen Gaji Asulov, actually, the guy who beat him on the Contender Series. He's not in the UFC anymore. The guy's cut. So why is Medina here? He's here for a science experiment. We're experimenting with the 22-year-old Cameroonian powerhouse versus the indestructible chin that clearly Jose Medina has, and we're putting them together to see what the fuck is going to happen. And I think that chin is going to get cracked bad.
Yeah, same.
I think that smile is going to get wiped off his face, or he'll be permanently left with one. So I'm going to take Atiba Gautier to win by round 2 KO. I think he's going to drop him 2 times in the first round and then put him out real bad in the second.
I think if he's legit as he seems on paper, I think he gets it done in the first round.
Yeah.
Maybe in the second half of the round. And I feel like if he's not that legit and he's just decent, it might go the distance. And Jose's chin might hold up and he might take it to the distance. Yeah, for real.
That would be impressive if he somehow survived this guy.
But I've never even seen a single clip of this guy. So I think he's the only fighter on the card I've actually never seen anything of him fighting.
Yeah,
so.
Fair enough. On to our next fight here in the flyweight division. We got Edgar Chairez taking on CJ Vergara. A great fight here. Edgar Chairez is 1-2 and 1 no contest in the UFC. He should be 2-2 with both of those wins coming against Daniel Lacerda. Lacerda went 0-5 in the promotion, but the guy was fucking entertaining.
Yeah,
he dropped CJ Vergara twice in their fight with a spinning wheel kick and a flying knee before gassing out and getting TKO'd in the second. He's one of those guys that puts on a show for you, gasses out, and gets finished.
He's a bag hitter.
Yeah.
He's good on the bag.
That's valid. Edgar Chairez, we saw in his last fight, he fought against Joshua Van. It was a close decision loss. He lost 29-28. I mean, I realistically think that everyone picks up the first round against Josh Van. However, it was at UFC Noche, and in my opinion, Van would dog walk Vergara. So this is a solid loss. Chairez is a nasty striker that looks for slick subs. Although he hasn't shot for a takedown in the UFC, the guy has a submission win, and most of his wins are by submission. He's got a slick guard game from his back, and I honestly think that we might be seeing some takedowns from him in this fight. We said it with the Lonnie Kavanagh fight. Will he be mixing the takedowns in against Felipe dos Santos? Yeah. And yeah, he ended up shooting for his first couple. So I think we'll see that here. CJ Vergara's 33 compared to Chairez's 29. And in Chairez's debut, he even knocked down Tatsuro Taira. So as well as fighting Clayton Carpenter in his Dana White Contender Series fight 2, the guys fought legit people. As well as CJ Vergara here. In his last fight, he fought Ramazan Tamirov, who we saw just scrape a decision win over our boy Charles Energy Johnson.
I don't know about scrape.
Yeah.
I don't know about scrape. Okay.
Well, I don't know. He definitely dominated him in the third round. Second round was a bit closer. He lost the first round.
Yeah.
But Ramazan knocked out CJ in the first round in CJ's last fight, where he was dropped 3 times in 3 minutes. Not a good stat there. Another not great stat is that CJ's missed weight in 3 of his last 6 fights. Getting up there in age, it's only going to get harder to cut down to 125. Getting finished in your last one. The guy's got okay wins, and his losses are to pretty legit guys. Overall, though, I think that the age and just the momentum of how these fighters' career projections could go, I think I'm just going to go with the favorite, Edgar Chairez, to actually get a club and sub victory in the second round. I think he's going to drop him and jump on a neck and find himself a submission win in front of this Mexican crowd?
Well, I think it takes I think it takes a KO in the first or second round. Can't really pin it to a point yet, but I don't think I see it going the distance for sure. So I'd say maybe an under 2.5 smack there would be kind of good. But give me Edgar Serra's money line and probably by TKO in the second round.
Well,
Probably early in the second or very late in the first. That would actually be really good. Like I don't expect him to get a finish in the first round, but I could definitely
that would
see
be
it.
very impressive.
Yeah.
On to our next fight here, also in the flyweight division to open up our main card. I believe we have Ronaldo Lazy Boy Rodriguez taking on Kevin Borjas. Ronaldo Rodriguez 2-0 in the UFC, Borjas 0-2 in the UFC. You look at this and you think 17-2 Lazy Boy, 9-3 Borjas. This is Ronaldo Rodriguez in his hometown all day. I don't see it that way personally. I don't think Ronaldo Rodriguez is very good at all. He got gifted a win at UFC Noche over Ode Osborne, where he was dropped and nearly finished in the first round. And he rallied by crotch sniffing for the rest of the fight and must have barely sniffed those second or third rounds. I don't think he did. I thought he lost 29-28 clearly. Could have been a 10-8 round also in the first. And then his win before that is a submission win over Denis Bondar in the second round, I think. Denis Bondar went 0-4 in the promotion, and it was almost like a comeback win for Ronaldo Rodriguez. He kind of just got on that guillotine. He was getting outstruck by 15, couple takedowns for Bondar. Just not impressive from Ronaldo at all. His stand-up is like, not mid, that's a little bit disrespectful. His stand-up's not great, though. His chin's not great. We're getting dropped by Ode pretty bad. He's got solid wrestling. That's all I'll say. Decent submissions. Kevin Borjas, on the other hand, he lost his UFC debut to Josh Van, 29-28. Picked up that first round, of course. In his last one, however, he was finished in the second round by Alessandro Costa. However, I do think Kevin Borjas has the striking advantage in this fight. He does have a 61% takedown defense that could be Ronaldo's path to victory, but I wouldn't be surprised if Kevin can find his chin early. However, if he doesn't, I think that Kevin's going to gas throughout this fight. I think that the takedowns are going to be there. And I could see Ronaldo Rodriguez finding a late submission or a 29-28 decision win. However, I think I'm going to take a ballsy pick here and take Kevin Borjas round 1 KO as the official pick.
Crazy.
Yeah.
When you first started reading it, I thought you were going to take Ronaldo 100%, and I was sitting here in my head thinking, all right, this is going to be our first fight on the night that we're going to be splitting because I'm going to take Borjas. So Borjas is an annoying fighter, man. Like, I don't even really like him that much, like, especially when he fought Josh Van. I had money on Van, and I was going for Van the whole time. I love Joshua Van. But he's a pressure boxer. He's not bad, and yeah, I think Ronaldo's going to be the first Mexican to take an L on this card, honestly. I think Borjas gets it done again. Like I've said 3 times probably today. He's fighting for his job pretty much. He's 0-2, so I think he comes out here and starts just the home crowd and shuts him up for a little bit, and then brings it back the next fight. So
I'm actually pumped that you agree with me there.
yeah, that's actually kind of hype, low key. W. I thought you were gonna take Ronaldo 100%.
No,
I looked at the odds too, and I was like, yeah, that's kind of valid. I thought Borjas would have been a bit bigger of a underdog. But
yeah, same. But I mean, I think they're seeing what we're seeing too. That Ronaldo's really not that good.
How old is he?
I don't exactly know.
Yeah,
I mean, we'll have it up on our official graphic, but give me Kevin Borjas to win by TKO. I think he's going to take him out.
Give me Kevin by decision.
Yeah?
Yeah, I can see Ronaldo getting round 1, maybe, it being very close, and then Borjas takes over from there, cruises to the decision.
Alrighty, on to our next one in the lightweight division between David Martinez and Simon Oliveira. Not too much to talk about in this fight, to be honest. David Martinez, 11-1, making his UFC debut. He had an impressive Dana White Contender Series win over Xavier Franklin, where he won by unanimous decision. We've seen Xavier Franklin actually pick up a round 4 TKO win in his last fight outside of the UFC. So it's good to see that he's still picking up wins, probably get another shot on the Contender Series later. Martinez looks slick in that fight, man. He's got really good kicks, great spinning kicks, good movement, and he's fast as fuck. He's also got a really good leg kick. And his sister's in the UFC. I believe her name's Melissa Martinez. Martinez stuffed all 3 takedowns on the Dana White Contender Series. He's only 26 and he's on a 7-fight win streak. Simon Oliveira, I don't have too much good things to say about you. He's 0-2 in the promotion. His last fight was 2 years ago over to Daniel Marcos.
Yeah,
where
I didn't
he
know
was,
that was 2 years ago. Damn.
Yeah, where he was finished in the second round by with a body knees, I believe, and he just kind of quit. Just kind of quit in that fight. Marcos isn't much of a power finisher guy. We saw him just absolutely maul Simon Oliveira. And in Oliveira's debut, he fought Tony Gravely, where Gravely had 11 takedowns and 11 minutes of control time. So it was just sheer dominance. Oliveira's a submission or bust type of guy. We haven't seen the submissions at all since he got to the UFC. You think if you were on the ground for 11 minutes, you'd throw something up. He did have 3 submission attempts, but they were dust. And now he's coming into this one 2 years later after a TKO loss. This is one of those ones where you're fighting for your job, but I don't think we're keeping it in this one.
It's funny, I already thought that. I literally thought the exact same thing.
Yeah, I see David Martinez stuffing the takedowns from Simon Oliveira and honestly doing terrible things to him. Chewing the leg up early, and I won't be surprised if we see a head kick finish in this one, or a kick finish at least. I'm going to take David Martinez round 2 KO.
Round 2? That's valid. I see him knocking him out. I can't really pin it down to a round. I don't think I know that much, or not that much, but I don't know enough about Simon Oliveira to guess when he's going to get finished by the prospect that's making his debut in his home country and will be coming out there like Terrence McKinney in round 1, looking to put the crowd back on their feet because Ronaldo Rodriguez is going to lose in the fight before, so they're going to need something to cheer about.
True.
So I think he comes out here. I think he gets a knockout probably. And I think he honestly cruises to it, honestly. I don't see a lot of threat from Simon Oliveira, maybe via experience, but I mean, that's about it.
The experience of going over 2.
I think he's honestly definitely going to want it. I meant to say that. I think he's going to want it. Coming back after 2 years, when that happens to you, I feel like you've had enough time to sit with your thoughts and let the anger build up, and he's probably going to be able to take it out a little bit on the kid that's making his debut in his first fight. We'll definitely be feeling some nerves. And again, we'll come out into the fight like Terrence McKinney in round 1, in my opinion. Just all quick and twitchy and looking to starch him right away. So I think if he can land a couple takedowns, like maybe in the first round or kind of just early in the fight general, like in the first half of the fight, he might be able to control it a bit more. But I think David Martinez is going to be able to kind of just do his thing in there, and he's probably going to look good in his debut. And I don't think he's one of the undefeated that gets their O's taken this year.
Well, he's 11-1.
Oh, 11-1?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
so they are in good hands there.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I'm going to say David Martinez finds the button in the second round. Just going with the trend of how he got finished in the second by Marcos. So
I'll say David Martinez by KO.
On to our next one here, bantamweight division. Raul Rojas Jr. taking on Vince Morales. First thing I actually want to talk about before we even get into this breakdown is Taylor Lapilus beat Vince Morales like a year and a half ago.
It's gonna be in every video name. We just
I don't know
Taylor
how.
Lapilus
I think it has to just get mentioned.
We're just gonna keep talking about it.
It has to get mentioned.
No, it does have to.
Lapilus beat Vince a year and a half ago, destroyed him, and he got cut. But Vince Morales is coming into this fight on a 4-fight losing streak on a main card, taking on Raul Rojas Jr.
Like, bro, you're getting fed to the wolves, bro. Like, why did you even sign this contract? You probably got promised a stupid amount of money for this or something. Like, why are you gonna go fight Raul Rosas Jr. when you're 0-4 in your last 4? Like,
I wouldn't hate on him too much yet, because I do have some good things to say about Vince. But starting with Raul here, 20 years old, has looked great since joining the UFC. Obviously had the hiccup to Christian Rodriguez, but we know what he's capable of. In his last fight, he had a boring decision win over Richie Lang in UFC Noche, where he kind of just dominated him on the ground and just controlled him there. Didn't do a whole lot. I think he gassed out a little bit too. He had 8 minutes of control time, however. The fight before that, he subbed Ricky Turcios in the second round. Looked pretty good in that one. And the fight before then had that 35-second KO over Terrence Mitchell. Raul averages 4 takedowns per 15, and he looks for the sub right away. He's a strong presence. That's a very hard matchup here for Vince. Vince is 15 years old, I was going to say. Is 35 years old. There's a 15-year age gap. He's 3-7 in the promotion. And he even lost his Dana White Contender Series fight back in 2018. Yes, he's okay. Yes, he has slick submission attempts. We saw it in his last fight a lot over Elijah Smith. He was throwing up a lot of omoplatas and shit like that. But they were more to get out of positions, which is... He does the right things because he's obviously a grizzled veteran.
Yeah.
And he's 3-7, like I said, but his losses, I'll go over them. Song Yadong, Chris Gutierrez, Miles Johns, Jonathan Martinez, Taylor Lapalus, and Elijah Smith.
Beat Louis Schmolka, though.
And he knocked out Louis Schmolka. He knocked out Schmolka. It was a nice clinch right hand.
How did his fight go with Eamon Zahabi?
He won.
He won?
He beat Eamon Zahabi.
Was it by what?
Decision. Yeah, and so he has wins over guys like Zahabi. However, I do just think that Raul coming into this one on a 3-fight winning streak compared to Vince on a 4-fight skid. The young kid in his backyard again. He's going to be hungry for this. Vince only fought 1 month ago as well. So it's just like, have you recovered that much? And one thing I'll say about Vince is that if it goes to the scorecards, obviously it's more favored for Raul. But Vince wears damage on his face like you took a paintbrush and brushed red paint on him. Like that
matters too.
It does.
Sounds like it's just a brush off the shoulder, and it actually matters.
Oh, it does. The guy gets very red, very bruised, and I honestly think that this could be a round 1 submission for Raul Rojas Jr. or just kind of like his last one, a dominant decision win. I can see Vince throwing up a couple scary submission attempts if it gets into those later rounds, but realistically, I don't think he's going to obviously sub Raul. So official pick, I'm going to go Raul by sub.
That's probably the most valid bet on this fight. I mean, I feel like that'll be the one everyone kind of jumps to. I feel like I want to take Raul by decision, honestly.
Yeah, that's fair too. On to our next one here, a banger in the middleweight division. We got Kelvin Gastelum back at middleweight, taking on Joe Body Bags Pyfer. I got some good things to say here and some bad things to say about Kelvin Gastelum, to be honest. Gastelum coming in here, 33, 34 years old. He's officially at middleweight. He missed weight in his last fight by 10 pounds against Daniel Rodriguez. It was supposed to be a 170 fight, and it ended up getting pushed to 185 from the amount of weight that he lost. Or the amount of weight that he missed by. Kelvin ends up scraping a decision win at 185 over Daniel Rodriguez. It's just not a good win. It's really unfair for D-Rod, and it's just bullshit. Before that, he got dominated and subbed by Sean Brady at 170. But I mean, that's Sean Brady. We just saw what he did to Leon Edwards, the same thing.
Again, he's going to be fighting for a belt.
Yeah.
So.
And the fight before that, maybe he's got to get through Buckley, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's right.
The fight before that, however, he fought Chris Curtis at 170 and honestly looked amazing. It had people kind of thinking, all right, we're back at 170 with Gastelum. He's fit, he's dieting well, and he looked great against a guy like Chris Curtis. Outboxed him, outgrappled him, and great win for him. Obviously, he's not at 170 anymore here. I think that the age is getting with him, the mindset, the attitude towards fighting a little bit, because accepting a fight at 185 against Joe Pyfer, being a 5'9" guy taking on 6'2" Pyfer, who's a huge middleweight, just seems a little bit weird to me. And you're not going to go and tell me that Kelvin Gastelum is going to be the hometown guy here, coming from Mexico. That guy is not Mexican. He's barely Hispanic. Pyfer in this fight will be significantly bigger than Kelvin. He'll have a 4-inch reach advantage and look to walk Kelvin down and land big shots on the fence. He only needs to stuff takedowns to win this fight. I think that Kelvin needs to fight a perfect fight for him to even survive in this fight.
Yeah, I agree.
Let alone
he can't
win.
Mess up because Joe's just going to capitalize on it right away. It's his fight to win. It's Joe's fight to win. So
we saw the Hermanson fight versus Pyfer. He lost that fight, obviously, 3 rounds to do in a decision where he just kind of completely gassed out. The experience got to him. But Pyfer dominated him those first 2 rounds. And since then, it's just been I think that's just a great learning experience for him, being in a main event, seeing what it's like against a top contender like Hermanson. Not top contender, but legit top 10 guy. And yeah, not a bad loss. I mean, Hermanson subbed Kelvin Gastelum with a heel hook in 1 minute. So if you want to do some MMA math for that, then there you go.
I think there's a chance Gastelum wins this. Like, honestly, taking the circumstances, Thinking he's coming off a win at the end of the day. Like whoever, like whatever, it's the D-Rod.
Realistically, no. I just see the way that he wins is
I
by.
have a feeling he's gonna win, bro. I don't know why.
Really?
I don't know. Like
The way
my
that he
mind
wins,
is saying that Piper is gonna do brutal things to this man. He's gonna put on a masterclass and keep going with the hype train that he kind of has. And it's like it's almost like my gut is saying that Gaslam's gonna find a way to pull this out at whatever he is, plus 410 at the moment.
Gastelum, the way that he wins here is fighting a perfect fight, landing good shots, getting it in close, and working in the takedowns and controlling them a lot.
That's what I was low-key gonna say. Okay.
And Piper's a legit grappler. He's got good wrestling, man. We saw him submit Abdul Razak Al Hassan out cold. It's just this fight just seems so hard for Kelvin Gastelum to win. He's 5'9" versus 6'2". He's not a good middle. He's not good at middleweight anymore. He's 34. Piper with all the momentum in the world. I personally think that we're going to see Kelvin Gastelum suffer his first knockout loss in the UFC. A lot of people are probably going to say no way that he gets K'd with the chin that Gastelum has. Chins get cracked, and
especially via age.
Via age and via matchmaking like this, it doesn't seem like.
But it's just weird, like matchmaking like this on the main card. Is it the co-main?
No.
Oh, the
featured
co-main of
featured
main
fight.
card in Mexico. And Gaslam's the Mexican fighter in the fight, so it's like he's definitely. I don't know. He's gonna be the fan favorite. He'll have a little bit of hype, but yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting one. I think I'll take Joe by decision, honestly.
That's valid. I'm gonna take a little
close
risky
though.
one.
I think Gaslam gets a round on him. Like I think he's gonna be okay. I don't know why I feel like that. I actually don't. I think he's gonna be okay.
That's fair. No, I think you could definitely be bang on with that. I also think that I could be bang on with him just destroying him in a way, walking him down the whole time.
I think Gaslam takes him into deep waters. That's the line I was gonna say. I think he's gonna bring Joe down to deep waters and he's gonna get tested, and we'll see if Joe's really made for the shit or not.
Fair enough. So you're taking Piper by decision?
Piper by decision, 29-28. I low-key won't be surprised if plus 410 Gaslam gets a decision, maybe with a little generosity from the judges in Mexico. And maybe I think it's 29-28 either way, honestly.
I'm going to take a ballsy pick and take Joe Piper round 1K. I'm not lying.
No, that's valid.
I think that if he does it, it'll be early. I think that when there's no sweat on those chins, Piper just lands a bomb and wobbles him and puts him back.
Yeah, no, it's honestly valid. Like I can see that happening. Like I think that will be considered the masterclass that he's gonna put on if he comes out like that.
I'm kind of banking on that one a little bit. I think that fuck it, round 1 KO for Joe Piper. On to our co-main event here. Manuel El Loco Torres takes on Drew Dober. Manuel Torres 3-1 in the UFC, obviously coming off a round 1 KO loss to Ignacio Bahamondes. He was dropped twice in that fight before being finished, and that was all in about 3 minutes. He didn't look good in that fight. He was getting beat to every punch. But again, we've seen Ignacio.
Ignacio's tough, bro.
Great fighter.
I was just going to say that right before.
Retiring Jalen Turner, obviously, in his last one with that gross triangle armbar.
At 29.
Yeah. Pretty sad.
That is sad. It really is.
I messaged him. I had to check in on him.
Did you? Yeah. That's valid. I actually sent him a text the day I saw that post. I was at work too, and I shot him a DM. I was like, "You got to keep your head up, bro. Like you're 29. If you honestly feel like you can, then you can probably come back at some point.
Sure.
And
for sure.
Definitely keep fighting. I don't know.
It was mental health stuff. So
yeah. He did make good money though. Like when we were checking that here right before the Kurt interview, like he made good money on this card. So he got out before. He got out at 29. It's not bad if he stays out, but. Anyways.
So obviously he has Manuel coming off that round 1 KO loss, but the fight before that he had a round 1 submission win by guillotine over Chris Duncan, which obviously has aged really well. We've seen Duncan win his last 2 fights by submission over Jordan Buchenik and Balaji Oki.
Loses his next one.
I think he for Chris Duncan. Oh yeah, versus Terrence.
Yeah.
Give me Terrence.
Give me Terrence, bro. Come on.
So Manuel's wins in the UFC have been over Nicholas Mata and Frank Camacho. Frank Camacho is 2-7 in the promotion, and Nicholas Mata is as chinny as it gets. Not very great wins, but his losses are solid, and the Duncan win has aged pretty well. The finish itself is really nice. He kind of had a standing arm triangle on the fence. and then used it to rip him down into a takedown, jumped right on his back and subbed him.
And it looked mean.
It was pretty good.
Brutally aggressive. Like, it almost gives you that weird feeling of, like, chill, bro. Like, you don't need to do all that.
That was when Torres...
I actually do visually remember seeing that, too, because that was crazy. Yeah,
Torres was 15-2 at that time, 3-0 in the UFC with all finishes in the UFC. He was looking really good. Ignacio that was kind of the battle of what South American prospect was going to come out there.
Yeah.
Drew Dober, on the other hand, 13-10 in the UFC. He's got the most knockouts in lightweight history. He's tied with Dustin the Diamond Poirier with 9. Drew Dober's 1-3 in his last 4, however. In his last fight being finished by Gene Silva via doctor stoppage in the 3rd round. However, that fight was very close.
It actually kind of was.
It was a brutal cut that stopped the fight. I think the fight should have been stopped.
Damage-wise, it wasn't close.
No.
But statistically,
significant strikes. Dober was up by 10, outlanded him, I believe, in every single round. And yeah, if you're doing that with Gene Silva, that's pretty fucking legit.
Mm-hmm.
That's Gene up a weight class, and the power would only be more there. So I don't know. Drew Dober, the fight before then, lost by decision to Renato Moicano, where he was just kind of wet blanketed for 3 rounds. Pretty boring fight. Wobbled Moicano once or twice, but that's a Moicano fight for you. Before then, had a round 1 KO win over Ricky Glenn, and the fight before then being finished in round 1 by Matt Frivola. So a little bit of a shaky last 4 for Drew here. But again, that Gene Silva in his last one, Moicano in the one before then, and a knockout win in the one before then. Let's look at the last 3. Good opponents, good fights, and Drew Dober's looking better than ever. Like, we've seen him in how he was talking recently. He's ready to fucking fight.
It's literally the only description I was going to give on this fight, is we see Dober versus, well, not really Ricky Glenn so much, but we see him against Moicano, and then he comes out, he looks a lot better against Dober and loses. I think he's going to come out, my bad. Yeah, against Silva. Comes out, loses against Silva, looks like way better than he did against Moicano.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he's going to come out and look way better than he did against Gene Silva. Put on a masterclass and get the stuff.
Yeah,
at good odds too.
One thing I want to say too that I forgot about Manuel Torres is out of his 15 fights, he's only been out of the first round once. And that was like in 2017 or something. So Drew Dober is obviously as experienced as it comes. Lots of round 2, lots of round 3 TKOs as well. Over Bobby Green and stuff like that comes to mind. I think that it's going to be a bang out of a first round. I think that both guys are going to crack each other. But overall, I just think Dober's going to land the bigger shots. And I think in the second round, Torres is going to fade. And I'm going to take Drew Dober early round 2 KO. I think he's going to KO him bad.
I was thinking you were going to say the exact same thing as me. I'm taking Dober late round 2 KO.
Yeah.
And I think he KOs him bad.
Yeah, I think it'll be bad.
I think Torres is going to be gassed. This is another one where I think Dober's going to take him into very deep waters, and we'll see what Manuel Torres is made of, if he can make it out or not, honestly. That's how I see this. I feel like pick'em odds is a bit ridiculous. I understand where it's coming from, but I feel like that's a bit ridiculous, a little bit.
A little bit, yeah. Strike for strike, I just think that Drew Dober's got way more power, way better experience, and I was seeing Manuel get beat to every single shot, and he's coming off a knockout loss. A knockout loss compared to a doctor stoppage is way different.
Yeah. And you have so much like built up almost anger and like grit to want to fight after getting beat by a doctor stoppage in a fight that you were arguably winning and doing very good in.
Yeah.
So it's like he's gonna come out here and put on a masterclass. I honestly see that happening 100%.
Drew Dober by KO.
Yeah, Drew Dober by KO.
We're riding with the Giga Chin.
For real.
On to our main event here. Brandon, the Assassin Baby Moreno, takes on Steve Astro Boy Erceg. Personally, I think that this is pretty one-way traffic for Brandon Moreno. I think that he's going to steamroll Erceg. I think he's going to put him out in the 4th or 5th round by KO or submission. Those are just some early thoughts. Erceg, I don't really know why he's in this spot. What rank is Erceg? 9? 8?
Doesn't even say. 8.
He's on a 2-fight skid, getting knocked out in his last fight by Kai Kara France in the first round, where he was dropped twice.
Who was before that?
And the fight before then was against Alexandre Pantoja in a close fight for the belt, where he got dominated on the ground. He had suffered 9 takedowns, lots of control time. It was a close fight. I think that people think it was a lot closer than it actually was. Pantoja won the fucking fight. People argue Erceg won the fight. Like, no, he did not. it was an impressive performance from Erceg, but we haven't seen anything from him since. Obviously, getting finished in his last one by Kai Kara-France, who was on a 2-fight skid before fighting Erceg. I think the Mexican native is gonna, in his hometown, come in here, land the bigger shots, land the takedowns, threaten submissions, hurt Erceg. And like we saw Moreno bounce back after his 2 split decision losses to Royval and Pantoja with a 50-45 win over the number 1 contender at the time, Amir Albazi. Again, was Albazi ever that good? He kind of robbed Kara-France. So, but again, 50-45 them is ridiculous. I just think that Erceg doesn't deserve to be here. He should be fighting Asakura, the Charles Johnson if he was in the rankings, Joshua Van, one of those type of guys, Alex Perez. There's no need for him to be here. I think he's going to take his 3rd L in the promotion and be 3-3 overall in a 3-fight skid. Give me Brandon the Assassin Baby Moreno to win by round 4-5 submission.
I'm about to diss Erceg a little bit, but I do think he beats everyone you just named.
Who?
Van, Charles, and who else did you say?
Perez.
Oh wait, did you say Joshua Van?
Yeah.
I think he almost definitely beats everyone there. But
I think that Erceg versus Josh Van would be a fucking great fight.
That would be a good fight. I think Steve probably takes it.
3 rounds?
Yeah. Takes a first.
I just saw Steve get
and
K'd,
then I wouldn't
bro.
see him losing the 3rd in that.
I just saw Steve get K'd and did nothing.
Okay, ish. To Kai Kara-France?
Bro, he got K'd.
I swear you were saying that was an early stoppage when that happened.
I was saying it was an early stoppage because I bet on Steve Erceg.
That's funny. I was saying it wasn't an early stoppage because I wanted Kai to win. And now going back, I feel like, I don't know, like, okay, maybe not, maybe an early stoppage is a bit of an exaggeration.
It was because he got dropped hard and then got dropped hard again 20 seconds later.
Yeah.
And it was one of those
did
ones
he even
where
go out though?
No, but like he like went flying back with his arms out,
Okay.
like.
All right, my only thoughts on this fight are, if you are watching this video right now, I want you to go to the bank, open up your checkings account and your savings, take them both out, put it on FanDuel, and put it on Brandon Moreno. He's not losing this fight. He's not going to lose this fight. I don't even see a way that he loses, honestly. I think it would come by decision if he does. I don't think Steve Erceg comes even close to knocking out Moreno.
Neither do I.
I actually don't. What are the odds? What are the odds?
I have on here minus 200, but it's not that anymore. It's like minus 260 for Moreno.
Yeah, I don't think there's a chance Moreno loses this fight.
Neither do I.
I really don't. I think the UFC loses a good amount of money if he loses this fight too, and it's definitely set up for him to win. I think Erceg is going to get final fraud check. That's going to be a Dana and Hunter mishap, and they're going to be thinking, why the fuck did we boost this guy so much and give him Pantoja and Kai and this and that and this and that?
Well, I think now he's here for Moreno to kind of lose to Moreno.
That's exactly what I was getting.
Which we don't need to do. We don't need to do that. But I mean, flyweight's in this stance right now. In my opinion, they really fucked up the matchmaking too. I think that Asu Almabayev versus Kopp never should have got set up. I think it should have been Erceg versus Asu Almabayev, and I think it should have been Brandon Moreno versus Manel Kopp this weekend. I think that would have been a much better fight both ways.
Okay, yeah, that's actually kind of valid.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm hella interested in this fight though, but yeah, I mean, if you're iffy on money right now and you're looking for a side hustle, please put all your money on Brandon Moreno. Take it as financial advice. Hold me to it. Come at me after the fight. He's not losing this fight.
Two-legged with Dober.
Two-legged with Dober at pick 'em odds for the good odds, and put Ngannou in there too. Yeah, put 22-year-old Ngannou.
And so what's your official pick?
Brandon Moreno by 50-44 decision.
Damn. I'm going to take him by late finish. TKO or sub. Not sure which one, but probably submission round 5. Yeah.
Won't be surprised if it's 50-43. Okay, I'll be surprised.
That's fucked.
I'll be surprised. I'll be surprised. Like, that'll be shocking. But, like,
flyweight 10-8s are hard. Flyweight 10-8s are hard. Because they're always just landing so much volume on each other.
Yeah, sure.
But yeah, Brandon Moreno domination main event.
50-44 decision. Unanimous. Across the board. Everyone has a 10-8. It's clear. It's going to be round 2. Nah, it's going to be round 3 that it's going to be a 10-8. Yeah.
And that'll do it. UFC Mexico full card predictions. There they are.